episode of Athletic Training Chat. This is a big one. This is episode 100. Didn't quite get there in 100 weeks, but we have got there eventually. Getting this started, we had a couple of lulls in there, a few different places, but we made it to episode 100. So we wanted to get all of the hosts together just to talk a little bit about the podcast so far. Definitely say a thank you for everybody who's listened and all the guests, and then kind of just talk about what we're looking forward to in the next 100. Because yes, I'm throwing that out there that we're committing to that right now. So anywho, we just thought we'd go around and we were going to start with Mercedes and just kind of reflect on when, especially as she came in as a host kind of later in this string of 100. Just kind of reflect on the podcast and so far, and then we'll kind of go around from there. So, Dr. Himmons.
We'll go with I've been having a good time so far since I've been a host, one of the co-hosts, and I've enjoyed my episodes that I've been a part of, and I think it's not I don't want to say it's a challenge, but it's been very, I think, fun on my part, just trying to find different people to interview. I don't want to interview the same people. Joel's done a great job with the people that he's already had, but I think I have a pretty decent lineup of people to interview coming up when it lightens a little bit, which I was saying within the next month. I think we have a strong chance of going to Alabama coming up, so we'll see. But I've reached out to a few people to, they're on board to be a guest. One of them has probably just as busy of a schedule as I do. So when their schedule dies down and my schedule dies down, we'll definitely get a recording. And I'm really excited for one person because they're going to talk about mental health.
Perfect.
And is a passion of mine as well, just in general. So I'm excited to see what they're doing for their patient grow for us as a whole as athletic trainers. So I'm just excited. Like, we can only go up from here as always. So it'll be great to watch with everyone else. And I enjoy watching all the episodes, and it was a lot of pretty great athletic trainers across the country. I think, from what I'm seeing. So I'm excited, and it's like, oh, I meet these people, and so maybe we can meet people at NATA. I'll be present. People will be present, so come to Philly. Hopefully, maybe, if it's still going to be a thing. Who knows?
Fair enough.
So I'm excited.
Awesome. Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I had a very similar experience so far with Mercedes as well, where it's just a lot of fun to sit down with people and have discussions. I will say one of the things that stands out to me from the first 100 was the people that actually said no, which was pretty few and far between. But you email people, reach out, and for whatever reason, they say no. And then I've actually had some great discussions with those people over email, and just kind of gotten some networking that way. And that's something that I didn't really expect through these first 100 would be kind of getting, just as much networking done with the people that, decline you, compared to the people that'll sit down and chat with you for, 45 minutes or whatever it happens to be. So that's kind of stood out to me, but in a good way, to where, I've built a few relationships with people that, just weren't interested in sharing details with the public, but
Sure.
They're still, they're still good mentors. They're still good athletic trainers. So it's just been nice to kind of have that experience as well through these podcasts.
Austin?
All right. So I think I'm going to kind of piggyback off of Greg a little bit here. And I think one of my favorite things has been the networking aspect. And even just listening to some of the episodes that you guys have hosted, picking up new things. Right now, I'm in college athletics and in particular, college baseball. Baseball is one of my passions, but to be able to hear other speakers, other athletic trainers from different settings, so whether that be the industrial setting with Susan Todd, that was one of my favorites, just because it's a setting I really never thought about and really don't know much about. And then we hear some from the fire service, from the military, different settings that are, I guess, more unique than I'm in the traditional setting. I kind of have a routine I kind of know what it's about. It's the same, it's pretty similar with baseball athletic trainers and people I've talked to. So being here, able to hear other people's experiences outside of my own, I think there's always something to take away from that. And it's been exciting for me to kind of pick up little tidbits from each episode that not only I do, but hearing everything else that you all bring to the table when you're talking to our guests. So it's definitely been a fun experience, and I'm grateful for everyone who's been on. So I know it's like Greg said, not everyone is comfortable sharing. I mean, even me, the first couple episodes of this, it was me trying to find my way with it too. So, I mean, I definitely appreciate all of our guests taking time out of their days and their schedules to share some of their knowledge.
Yeah, I think you all hit on it, and that is the biggest thing for me. And I've said this to most of the guests that I talk to is, I don't network great. Like I'm very rarely the person at any convention that's going to go up and like strike up the conversation. I just don't, for whatever reason, I have a hesitation on that, but this has allowed me to meet people across the country that rarely you would ever meet. Because even if you all happen to be at NATA, the odds of you running into someone and being able to strike up any kind of that connection is just, it's improbable just because of the sheer numbers and the mass of it. But, to meet some people that still in contact, Rick Cox is somebody we've started another project together. I've never met the guy in person. We literally live half a country away, but we've been able to connect enough to go through and do some of these things, which has been pretty cool. And again, just, we'll get into this as we say, kind of the thank yous for everything. Like to everybody that listens, thank you. But selfishly, it's also been, even if we had 10 people listening, it's been cool to meet all these people, because now that network's just grown, and that's helped with students of, hey, I'm interested in this. Oh, well, I've got the person that you should go talk to. Like that's been kind of a cool thing to do all over the country. And even then, when we're looking to post jobs where I'm at, to be able to reach out to people and say, hey, if you know somebody, we've got a good role for them, would love to have them here. So that's been pretty awesome as well, to do that. And like you said, just hearing all the different things, I've learned a ton. The one that we've met Mercedes on, that initial race and athletic training roundtable, was such a impactful one and such a powerful one. Just to meet so many people. And I still remember on that, there was a couple of people that they weren't aware that there was a queer community within the AT. They had just never connected before, and that episode happened to bring them together, which is awesome and really kind of a cool part of the whole deal. So kind of going into the next one, because we were planning to keep this short, and just kind of what we're hoping to go and get out of the next ones, and hopefully Dr. Himmons will get back on with us. Now she's having some technical difficulty being in the middle of West Virginia, but I guess Austin, will go back to you. Just kind of going forward, what are you hoping to see and grow potentially in the next 100 episodes?
Yeah, well, I mean, personally, I'm going to be a little selfish about it. I have a couple episodes hopefully here on the horizon once my travel schedule slows down a little bit. A couple new and exciting ones, kind of on the educational front, especially as we've now fully transitioned into that entry-level master's program. So discussing that a little bit and discussing some of these other topics that, otherwise might not have been exposed to. I mean, and then continuing to reach out and expand that network. For example, from our baseball roundtable, just being able to connect with those guys. I actually still am in contact with just about everyone from that roundtable. And I've actually met a couple in person now by happenstance. Yeah. Met one in the NCAA regionals and one actually where I work now. So just kind of a small world and being able to expand that network. And as Joel said, being able to reach out to those people and say, hey, even if it's something simple like, hey, I have a question. Hey, this job posting's opening. What are your thoughts on that? Do you know anyone who would be willing to fill that? So I think the biggest things, aside from bringing some new topics to the table, would be continuing to expand that network for myself.
Mercedes, what are you looking forward to in the next 100? You kind of talked down a little bit. We'll see if we can get you. As we mentioned, you had some audio issues.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Good.
Okay, I'm excited. So, wait. Okay, it's creeping me out because it's on my laptop and my phone. I'm like, we got to figure this out some way. But for the next 100 episodes, I would say just to see, who else can be on the podcast, as well as what else can we learn. Also, like what Austin was saying, I think I learn best from hearing others speak of their experiences. So, it could be the most random thing. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like something I would want to do. Or, something that I might want to implement in my own practice, or even in my personal life from just those leadership episodes. I think I'm just looking forward to see what new topics we can bring to the table so that we can learn, because I think this is just as much a learning process and experience for us all, as much as it is just with the networking. So I'm excited for that.
Greg?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I I could reiterate what Austin and Mercedes are saying. Absolutely, the networking part of it's huge. The learning more just from every episode is huge. I guess if I could maybe add something, it's and I know Mercedes kind of talked about the learning aspects, but I think I'll catch myself doing things in the training room or in the rehab area, whatever it happens to be, and I've had people ask me, oh, where'd you learn that? And then you kind of have to think back, and it's like, you know what, I actually learned that off so-and-so during the podcast. And I hope that more athletic trainers can kind of get that privilege of, you listen to a podcast, you don't have to be taking notes at your desk. Like it's an easy way to, drive to work. And then, you do retain some of the stuff. And I think just kind of putting that piece together along with, obviously the extensive networking and, just the kind of the mentorship aspect as well. We have a lot of younger athletic trainers. We have a lot of older athletic trainers on here, and just really helping people make those connections. That's been really cool to see. And I hope that we can really build on that in the next 100 and just create a big network that's, very friendly to approach. And like you're saying, I think that's such an efficient way to fill job positionings and ask questions to specialists that, you can't quite find online. I think if we just continue to grow that network, we have a lot of opportunities for, our listeners and really any athletic trainers out there that are looking to better themselves.
And actually, I have one here sorry to jump back in, but I do have one that Greg kind of made me think about there when he talked about, listening to things on the podcast and like being able to bring it into your clinic, into your athletic training room. One of my favorite things and something that I'm looking forward to, and I hope that others feel the same here, is I mean, guests I've talked to you in the episodes I've listened to, I don't always agree with everything I hear. And especially like whether it be like a rehab tidbit or an eval tidbit. But what it does is it challenges me and it makes me think about what I do. So even if I don't agree with that, I've caught myself numerous times going to look it up after an episode, being like, okay, this isn't how I do it. Maybe this is something I should look into. And I've taken away some valuable pieces there that I put into my own practice. So I find it valuable, even if I'm not always agreeing with anyone here. And I hope that others kind of get the same challenge to their systems as well, because I feel that's one of the biggest benefits of listening to others on this podcast, especially others with such diverse experiences from my own, that it challenges you to kind of get outside your norm and take pieces from everyone else and find what works for you.
I think that's a really important point. For me, continuing to find, kind of the diamonds in the rough, if you will. Just, the whole point of the podcast, at least for me, when we originally started, is to, just share stories of athletic trainers all across the country that maybe aren't, in a national office position. Not that we wouldn't want to talk to those people as well, because there's a lot of insight we can get there. But, the people that are out there doing really incredible things, but maybe never get the spotlight, on them because they don't want it or for whatever reason, but they do have a story to tell because everybody does. And if they want to share it, they'll allow us to be that platform for them just to talk about it, because you might get a gem you never even thought of. And then I think even more so off of an episode I just recorded actually earlier today of, this person worked in professional sports, made the conscious decision to move to the secondary level, which you would think maybe didn't really provide them all that much more time, but it did. It ended up being a good situation after a little bit of a rough patch in that transition, but it's going to keep him in the profession, and allow him to have a family, which he already does and whatnot. And I just think it was just a really interesting story to hear. And I hope that can be one that's powerful for ATs that maybe are questioning if they want to stay in the profession. Is it too much? Can you do it and still, maintain some sort of work-life integration balance? And I think, if maybe that helps keep somebody in the profession or kind of relights their fire, if you will, and allows them to still live their life, that would be worth all of it in and of itself. And we found a good spread of guests who are doing different things that have allowed them to do it, working for national championship NCAA football teams, to working in an ortho trauma setting, to, you are 40 hours a week plus some other stuff, plus getting free samples from the beer distributor you work for, and one of our guests there, which, telling you, I would probably have an extra 10 pounds on me if I had that job, but I would not mind it at all. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to going forward. From there, I think just to kind of wrap up, and I'll just take the start on this and then we'll go around again, is just I wanted to have us all kind of say thank you to all the guests who have been willing to do it and taking the time. I always feel terrible because my schedule has been a little interesting. I don't have as much control over it as I want anymore, but we've made it happen. So thank you for your patience in setting up interviews. If I forgot on social media to get back to you, it will come around. If not, please reach out again. And then thanks for everybody that listens. We hope it means something to you. As we get going forward with things, we've got a few other side things going. It's all meant to get reinvested back into the profession, or throw a lifeline program. You'll see more of this on social media once we get this AT Daily Journal coming up. Half of the proceeds of that's going to go directly to funding that program. So half of whatever we get after royalty stuff, which is a whole new thing I've learned, that'll go into that, plus any donations people are willing to give. And then the other half will go just to building out more things that we can give back to the profession. None of us have taken a penny from this, nor have we gotten anything else. So that just, if that was a thing, but we want to just thank everybody for listening. We hope we can continue to provide value and shed some positivity where we can. So also, why don't we hit up for you next?
Yeah, again, kind of a Joel seg right there. He kind of hit the nail on the head there. Is thank you, everyone, and thank you to you guys as well. I mean, like I said, for me, this was initially out of my comfort zone, and I'm super glad I did it, and super glad that I've taken a lot of things away. And I hope that you guys, the listeners, and the other co-hosts have found things to take away as well. So thank you guys for listening to us. Thank you guys and thank you to our guests who take time out of their schedule here to talk with us, share their stories, share their insights. For me, I'm still a very young athletic trainer and still kind of developing and finding my way. So listening to everyone here, listening to everyone's perspectives has definitely been influential on how I'm developing and how I'm going about what I'm doing now. So, I mean, it means a lot to me that people are willing to spend that time talking to us.
Thanks for letting me force you to do it. Because that's how that
right.
One more I'm going to interject real quick because we terrible forgot. Thank you to Mueller Sports Medicine for helping us get this up and running and being a part of just supporting the podcast, but B, just the profession. I wish everybody in the profession could get to Prairie du Sac, Wisconsin, just outside of Madison. So if you want to look it up on a map, it's hard to find. It is small, but their commitment to the profession and everything they do, it is unparalleled from what I've seen. And just if you ever need something, they will be there to help you out and at least be open to the idea. So definitely want to make sure we thank them as well as this is coming out, and I'll be talking to a couple of them tomorrow, so they should definitely hear that from us. We'll go Greg, and then Mercedes, we'll let you bring it home.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the guests and listeners, big thank you, 100%. We wouldn't be able to do 100 episodes without them, obviously. I would also like to thank Joel. I mean, he kind of brought the three of us on, to support him with this. And, I think if you look through the episodes, you'll realize really quick that probably 70 of the 100 that we've put out are primarily Joel's kind of product. And I think that just shows, the work ethic and the dedication to really putting this together, but keeping it together as well. So, I think the three of us really owe a lot to Joel just for keeping us afloat and bringing in a lot of, ideas and partnerships and things that really helped us grow as, a little podcast organization. But I think that's been great for the profession. And then, I'd also just kind of like to thank the profession as a whole. I guess more specifically, I've noticed there are a decent amount of podcasts now, and there's social media pages, and I think it's been really great to see that from day one of these pages being made, they're looking to collaborate or looking to support each other. To where that lack of social media presence, it's not really it's not competitive, it's supportive. And I think that is definitely the way that it should be, and the way that we can really help push the profession forward as a whole, if we can continue to kind of combine with these other people that do have a voice.
Mercedes?
I would honestly say, well, one, thank you to the guests and thank you to the listeners, but also thank you to Joel and Greg and Austin for asking me to join the crew, and thank you for the opportunity. And also, like Greg said, thank you to our profession, because if it wasn't for our profession, we wouldn't be doing this right now. And I think this is a great unifying experience for us, for the guests, for the listeners, and for Mueller, and for everything else that's in the works. So thank you for everything. Thank y'all for your stories and experiences, and thank you.
Well, to wrap up, thank you to you three for listening to me and on my incessant ideas and messaging about trying to get things going. Apparently, I don't have enough to think about otherwise, but I'm glad you guys are still here with me. But with that, we'll wrap up. If you do hear this, you have any interest in being on, I've created a link which I need. You can either do a form off of Athletic Training Chat, just a simple name and email. We started sharing a link on social media that you can fill out, comes directly to email, so you don't have to respond on social media. We'll connect with you and definitely get an episode going. The topic is yours. We want to hear what you want to talk about, your story to tell. You just have to answer our 6 questions at the end. That's what everybody has to do. But other than that, here's to making it through 100, and we'll go from there and see what happens. So thank you all for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you. And happy National Athletic Training Month.
Absolutely.